here it is. The bracket. It's out. It's been out. We talked about it. We're gonna fill one out. Because every time a YouTuber that I watch, posts his bracket prediction or it's all over TikTok, I always watch. I want to know what they're thinking. So, I think I've watched two YouTubers fill out their bracket, and it's my boy, Kenny Beecham, one of my favorite YouTubers, one of my idols, honestly. And then his podcast partner, Pee the Plug. Go check them out. If you haven't, go check out their videos, not just their bracket one. Go check out all the videos. They give great NBA opinions, and Kenny has so many channels you can watch any of them. He gives great insight, and Pee the Plug talks NBA, does a lot of 2K videos. He's a great guy, and then the podcast too. But yeah, and TikTok. One of my favorites I would say is Ryan Hammer. He gives great, just college basketball. He gives great thoughts and shares stats and gives great his own predictions. So those are some guys I've watched fill out their brackets, talk about what they want. Of course, I listen to Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander's I Own College Basketball podcast. So yeah, those are some of the guys I've watched. So I just want to give a shout out to all those people who really inspire me and let me know a lot of different things about college basketball, the NBA. So those are some people that I've just really try to take after and learn from them and improve me. And as a guy who's now creating content. So my dog just walked in and scared the out of me. So and now hopefully you guys can't hear that being lawnmower. I was like, that is so loud. So I'm gonna go share my screen and let's go fill out the 2023 men's basketball bracket because guess what, man? It's gonna be fun. So here it is. Here's the beautiful, beautiful bracket. The 64 teams. We had a really good game actually last night between Pitt and Mississippi State. Also, Southeast Missouri and Corpus Christi had a good game, but Pitt ended up beating Mississippi. Mississippi was one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the whole country, and especially in the tournament. And they missed a three for the win. So I guess it finishes how their season was really going. Just a missed three. They did not shoot well at all, and they end up losing in the first 4 game in Dayton. We got 2 more tonight between Nevada and Arizona State, and then also Fairleigh Dickinson, Texas Southern. But we're gonna fill out this bracket. I waited till Wednesday to fill out my real official bracket. I pretty much know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna talk you through my picks. So let's start in the South region, the top of the bracket, top left, where Alabama's number 1 overall seed. Of course, I'm going to have them advancing against Corpus Christi. Alabama has, just great guy in Brandon Miller, one of the best players in the whole nation there. Shoots the three amazing and also just can get to the rim, can do really everything you want. And he's a guy that you just see him do everything on the court. They've gone through some controversy just as a whole team, but I really think that is past them. I know they're going to still have questions about it, but I think this brought the team together, and they've gone through hardships, and they're ready to make a deep run to this tournament, and they will beat Corpus Christi. This next 8-9 is a game where I'm excited for it, but also it's kind of just, I feel like it's almost not as boring as a match as some others, but it's not the greatest match we want for a 12 or 8-9. Maryland, Jameer Young's their leader. We already talked about Maryland. We talked about West Virginia. Jameer Young, Eric Stevenson. Eric Stevenson's one of the best players in the country. He shoots the most percentage shots out of any other player for their team in this tournament. For West Virginia, I'm going to take there. Maryland has a very good press, but they do not play good away from home. And that's why I'm taking West Virginia to get this neutral win and win that 8-9. Next up is San Diego State versus Charleston. San Diego State is a really good defense, but they've struggled to get an NCAA tournament win under their coach. They haven't got one ever since he's been there. They've been one of the best winning percentages since 2017. And Charleston, back in the tournament, they're the third CAA team to win 30 games. And many people think this is a 12-5 upset, but in my opinion, I'm going to take San Diego State to get that first win in the tournament in a long time. I know the Mountain West has had struggles in the past past years. But I'm taking San Diego State because they defend the three really well, and Charleston shoots the most threes out of any team in this tournament. So I'm going to take Charleston to lose to San Diego State. Virginia Furman. This is a game where if I wasn't a Virginia fan, I might take Furman. Virginia is the slowest team in the tournament with 62 possessions a game, and that it's understandable. Tony Bennett has a style offense where they want to get lower possessions and hold teams to low possessions. So, and then when hopefully they'll capitalize more on their possessions than others. They're not as good as a defensive team as they have been in the past, but they're still very good. Reese Beekman's one of the best on-ball defenders in the whole nation, and that's why I'm going to have them beating Furman. But I like Furman's play. They like to shoot the ball a lot too, so they are a team that's going to try to combat Virginia's pace, but Virginia's been there. Furman has not won a tournament game in over 40 years, and I'm going to take Virginia to get this win and face San Diego State in a great defensive matchup. NC State Creighton, as a guy who lives in North Carolina, a lot of people are telling me, oh, NC State, Jarkel Joyner, Jaquavion Smith. That's a great duo, DJ Burns. But Creighton's a team that has just been consistent throughout the year. They've gone to the neutral site and almost won Maui. They played really good there. NC State wasn't bad for Atlantis, played good on a neutral court. But give me Creighton. They played really good last year in the tournament. They have more experience there. And Baylor Scheinman, Kalkbrenner, Ryan Nemhart, Trey Alexander, Arthur Kalumu, they all played last year in this tournament. I'm going to pick Creighton to move on. Baylor, I have beaten UCSB. Baylor has struggled going into this tournament, losing 4 out of their last 6, I believe. But they're going to pick up a win here. UCSB did almost beat Creighton a couple years ago, but I have Baylor moving on. This 7-10 is a really tough matchup for me. Missouri's led by Kobe Brown and Damore Hodge, two of the best duos right there. Two of the best players as duos for any team in this tournament. Missouri likes to score the ball a lot. They shoot a lot of threes, and Kobe Brown's a guy who can do it from all ranges on the court. He said he models the game after Kobe Bryant. He's a little bigger, but he wears number 24, and he gives out a lot of buckets. Utah State's offense, though, is amazing. And we just go look at these numbers. Utah State scores 78 points a game, and Missouri scores 79. So this game could be a race for 80 there. But I said the Mountain West has struggled to get a lot of wins in this tournament, so I'm taking Missouri here. I know this looks a little chalk, but Missouri, man, I like their offense, and that duo is going to do work. Utah State's a great team. I understand they have a lot of offensive firepower, but give me Missouri. I think that they've gone through the SEC schedule, and they're experienced enough to where they're going to play really good. And Dennis States has just done an amazing job in his first year for Missouri. So give me them. And Arizona I will have moving over Princeton to get to the second round. Let's go to my Midwest, the top right of the bracket, where Houston's the 1 seed. I haven't beaten Northern Kentucky, obviously. Marcus Sasser, I'm not sure. If I was Houston, I would have Marcus Sasser suit up, but not play. Maybe give him a couple minutes, but not play him a lot. Don't want to risk the injury. I think he will be fine going in this tournament. I'm not expecting too much of a concern with Marcus Sasser, but there is a little worry that he may re-aggravate the injury, which would definitely hurt Houston's chances of winning the national championship.
Okay, so my mic wasn't plugged in, so the audio wasn't as good, but I mean, you guys could still hear me, but it might have just been bad for that first region. But luckily, I didn't get too much till I realized that I always should check before I record, but sometimes I forget, and that was one of these times. Iowa-Auburn's a game where it's very interesting to me. This game is being played in Birmingham, Alabama, which is a big advantage to Auburn. They're going to have way more fans. Iowa's one of the fastest teams in the nation, score one of the most points per possession. Their offense is really good. Their defense is not. Fran McCaffrey is led as team led by Chris Murray, the twin brother of Keegan, to a really good offense in the Big Ten. Auburn's not as good as last year. Of course, they had Jabari Smith, but John A. Broome stepped up as a Morehead State transferman, really good. Wendell Green, K.D. Johnson, still the guards back there. playing amazing, and this Auburn team is grit and grind. I'm picking them to win, and Birmingham, Alabama gives this team a big advantage. I also don't like Iowa really at all, so my bias will come into play there, and Auburn's going to get out of this first round and get an interesting matchup against Houston in Birmingham with the unknown availability of Marcus Astor. Next up, Miami and Drake. This is one where this is the trendiest upset pick, I believe, in Drake, led by Tucker DeFries, one of the better players in the country. His dad is the coach, and Miami is led by Jim Larinaga. They're going through an injury. Norchad Omier. Let's go look up Norchad Omier. Let's see how Norchad Omier is doing, because I have actually not heard much about Norchad Omier of recent. So he's practicing. Will play versus Drake. That's all I need to hear. He's one of the best. He's a big guy down low that's going to give Tucker DeFries problems. Miami is a team that most teams most people I think are picking this Drake upset. They love Drake. Drake's playing one of the best teams in the country over the last month or two. Miami is one of my favorite teams in the country, and I'm going to have them go into get that win. Isaiah Wong leads them, and I really like Miami. Indiana, Kent State's an amazing matchup. Kent State won the MAC, beat Toledo in that championship, and they've played really good teams tough. If we go look at their information, they've played Houston, and they beat Houston. They lost to Houston by 5, lost by Gonzaga by 7, and lost to Charleston by 2. They do not have a win against any team in this tournament, and I'm aware of that. Purdue and Iowa has wins over Purdue. They play a tough Big Ten schedule, but for some reason, my heart is telling me Kent State. They've played good teams all year close. They score 76 points per game. They're a good defense, and the MAC is not the easy conference. They have a lot of good teams in that conference. So give me Kent State to upset Indiana and get to the second round there. I just like this Kent State team, and I was scared Virginia was going to get them in the first round, but they get Indiana, and I'm taking Kent State to move on to play Miami. Pitt, Iowa State's an amazing matchup, and a team from the first four ever since 2014 has made it to the second round at least. And I think this is the best chance for it to happen, and I think this Pitt team got a huge win earlier yesterday against Mississippi State, and they're going to get the win against Iowa State. I think they match up very well. They have amazing experience, and then their two bigs, the Diaz-Graham twins, and then they didn't have Federico last night. He may play against Iowa State. I think they match up well. Gabe Kalsher is really good, but without Caleb Grill, they have played well, but I think at one point this is going to hurt them. They won't have enough three-point shooting, and Pitt is not the greatest offense, but they can get hot at times. Jamarius Burton didn't have a great game, and he still made that game-winning go-ahead shot. So give me Pitt to move to the second round, and another ACC team. And right now I got 3 ACC teams in the second round. That's what the ACC does. They get it done in the tournament, and that's why teams are always like the ACC. Xavier's going to get past Kennesaw State. If Xavier dropped to the 4, it may have been interesting, but I have Xavier again this win. They don't have Fremantle, but Sule Boom's such a good player. Shout out to Kennesaw State, though, for this may have been their first appearance. I'm not sure. Man, this 7 versus 10. I said in my bracket preview that I hate this matchup's happening because these are 2 of the hottest teams in the country going in. Texas A&M is just been red hot recent. They play like a top 10. If you go and sort data at bartorfic.com, ever since they lost, they were 6-5. The day after, they've played like a top 10 team in the country over those last around 2.5 months. And Penn State of recent just made the Big Ten championship, almost won that game. They have a guy named Jalen Pickett, who's one of the most unique players in college basketball and one of the best, honestly. And if I had to pick a team that was going to win this game, man, because I wish both these teams didn't play each other because I could have them both going on deep runs. And I hate the break they got with the 2 seed they have and they're playing each other. So, but one of these teams is going to have to go at first round. And I said when Penn State was playing Purdue, I will pick them to win the game in the tournament, no matter who they play. So sorry, A&M. I think A&M deserves a 5 seed. I think Penn State deserves a 9-8 seed. They end up playing each other in the 7 versus 10. Give me Penn State to advance. In this first round, we have 3 double-digit seeds getting it done. I think Colgate will keep it close against Texas, but Rodney Terry's done such a good job at Texas this year So give me Texas to take Colgate down. Colgate has lost all their games by single digits in the tournament. Texas will expect to get Timmy Allen back in this game. So I think Texas will get this win there. I'm going to go pause this real quick and get some water because it's much needed. Let's move on to this East region, the bottom or the left-hand corner of the bracket. Oh, wow, that was interesting. Purdue, going to move on over the winner of Texas Southern and Fairleigh Dickinson. Gotta root for Dickinson. Always root for Dickinson. Dickinson is the youngest team and not just the youngest team, the smallest team in the tournament. So if they win this game and go against Zaki, that might be a funny matchup. Man, this 8-9 game is one of the best games out here. I would say it's my second favorite game. Memphis, FAU. Give me the Tigers. The Tigers, I got them winning this game here. Both these teams have a great shot to beat Purdue, but FAU, I understand that they are playing really good. They've only lost 3 games all year, but the reason I'm not picking them, they haven't beat a team in the tournament. We just saw Memphis beat a Houston team. I love the way they're playing right now, and the real reason is because Kendrick Davis, man. He is so good, one of the best players in all of college basketball. He wants to be a Memphis legend, is what he said, and you gotta be FAU to get there. So I would have Memphis being FAU to get to play with Purdue. This is Duke or Roberts game is another trendy upset pick with Oral Roberts. And I think that they have the potential to do this. I mean, of course, you got Max Asmus, did it 2 years ago. He can do it again this year. Now they got a guy instead of Kevin O'Banner. They have Connor Vanover, who is 7'5", who can stretch the floor. But Duke matches up too well with them, which I'm mad that Oral Roberts got them. But they have the Lively, they have Lipkowski, and they've been on the heater of recent. Give me Duke, one of the best teams coming into this tournament. They're going to get past Oral Roberts. Tennessee's a team I've been calling overrated really all year. I know they're a great defensive team, one of the best defensive teams in all of the country. But I'm going to take Louisiana to get it done. I like Louisiana, man. Look, Tennessee's defense is so good. They allow 58 points a game, but Louisiana has a really good offense this season. They haven't really played a good team close. They lost to Drake and Texas by a lot, and I know Alabama. They beat Alabama and Kansas. They beat 2 1 seeds. They beat Texas. So I understand that Tennessee is one of the best teams in the country defensively, but without Zakai Ziegler, that main the ball handler and the best on-ball defender, I don't know how well they're going to play. We saw them lose in the first round of the SEC tournament. Or did they win? No, they lost. They lost in the first round of the SEC tournament to Missouri. So I see them falling and struggling without their point guard. And without Zakai Ziegler, Jordan Brown, their top guard for Louisiana, averages almost 20 points a game. I think he's going to be able to feast. I know Louisiana had an easier bracket break with getting South Alabama and Texas State in their tournament. But I think Louisiana has a team. I don't like Tennessee at all this year. Give me Louisiana to win this game. Kentucky Province is another game where I'm not sure where to go with it. I know Kentucky's the better team, and I know Ed Cooley might get a job at Georgetown. But there's something about this Providence team because of Bryce Hopkins. I think he wants his revenge, and I love a good revenge story. Give me Providence to win this game. I don't feel amazingly confident about this pick at all, but I think it's worth the risk there. I think a lot of people will go Kentucky, but Providence, under Ed Cooley, they've gone through a lot of hardships this year. They also are not playing great going into the tournament. But Kentucky, I think, they lost their first game as well. Providence can match up with Kentucky well with Ed Croswell and Sheboy. Noah Locke's been good. Bryce Hopkins is a really good player. Bynum is a great player as well. I know Kentucky's deal with injuries a lot this year. Will they be healthy enough going in this game is a concern for me. So give me Providence to move on. Kansas State, I really like this year. I was hesitant on them in the middle of the year. I thought they might fall off and go back to reality, but they've shown that their reality is playing like one of the better teams in the country. Keontae Johnson, Marquise Noel is playing really well. Maybe the best duo in college basketball. And I know they lost their first game in the conference tournament to TCU, but it doesn't scare me a lot. Montana State, good team. Don't expect them to win this game. Give me Kansas State to move on. Michigan State, USC. A lot of people are. This one's been split for me. It was what I've seen. At first, I thought everyone was going Michigan State, but I've seen now more people go with USC in this one. USC has Boogie Ellis, one of the best players in college basketball, but they rely a lot on him. They don't have a lot of other output. They have great interior defense, but I love Tyson Walker, Michigan State, and it's Tom Izzo team, a lead team at the end of the day, and I trust Tom to get it done in March and go in and win a tournament after their 25th straight appearance in the NCAA tournament. So that is just insane for Michigan State. And I got Marquette beating Vermont, and we'll move on to the next round. Kansas will get past Howard. Bill Self expecting to coach. Kevin McCullough is going to be healthy. Kansas is looking to go back-to-back. I'm taking Arkansas over Illinois. I like Terrence Shannon Jr. I like Matthew Meyer. I like Coleman Hawkins. But Arkansas is playing better right now. Nick Smith's back healthy. Anthony Black is back. And it just sucks to me that they didn't get to play a full year together, be healthy, and see what this full potential was. This team was a top 10 team coming into the year and didn't live up to the potential. They still make the NCAA tournament. They're trying to get back to the Elite Eight for a second straight year. But I just don't see it happening where they can, make a long run this. But I think they will in this first game. But I don't think they have the continuity right now that I can take a Kansas. But, of course, we'll see if they can get past the first game. Give me VCU over St. Mary's. St. Mary's has not handled a lot of pressure that well this season. And I understand they beat Gonzaga. The computers love St. Mary's. I think they're 11th in KenPom. But VCU has played. These are two great defensive teams, but VCU has a lot of high pressure, and they'll get in your face. They'll press you. I think that's going to throw off St. Mary's, and this is my favorite 12-5 matchup. I think this is the only one where I take the 12. It is, and it's always one. There's always one. Most of the time, there's at least one, and VCU will be mine this year for the 12th move on. UConn over Iona is one where I could see it going to Iona. Rick Pitino-led teams, you can never never can count out. But give me UConn to get past there and move on against Iona. Tough game. Dan Hurley trying to get his first tournament win as UConn's head coach. I think TCU will beat whatever team comes out of this game tonight. TCU, again, didn't get to live up to their full potential, I believe, because of Mike Miles' injury. They lost a lot of games in that stretch, but they're a completely different team with them. They got a tough break getting Gonzaga as their 3 seed. They can take on any team, I believe, without Eddie Lampkin, that might hurt them in the future, but I expect them to get past an Arizona State team in Nevada who were the last 2 teams to make the tournament. Gonzaga over Grand Canyon, not a surprise. Gonzaga's flown over under the radar this year. Drew Timmy's better than ever. Northwestern Boise State's a really tough one for me. Boise State has a good offense. Another Mountain West team in this. Northwestern's only into the tournament for the second time ever, and they're led by Boo Buie and Adult. Oh my god, Adali. Oh my god, now I can't pronounce his name. Maybe I'll say it. A dude. Chase Adalji. Actually, why am I trying to pronounce his name? Anyways, they're led by Boo Buie and Chase Adalji. Leon Rice's son, playing really good for Boise State, and this team does it by a lot. Again, they have a good defense, good offense, but Mountain West teams I tend to fade, but so do Big Ten teams. But give me the 7 seed Northwestern to get past Boise State. And then I'm also going to take UCLA to get past UNC Asheville. UNC Asheville is a really good 15 seed. I think they're the best one. But UCLA is just, will calm the game down. They have experience. I know they don't have Jalen Clark. I expected Dan Bodner to play. And I think UNC Asheville will give them a push. But at the end of the day, I'm not bold enough to take them. So now we're on to the round of 32. Alabama, West Virginia. This is a good one, but the 3-point shooting of Alabama is really good. And their defense is also amazing. West Virginia's defense struggles, and I think at the end of the day, Alabama makes too much threes. They'll shoot too many, and they will never out of a game with them. Brandon Miller is going to be a problem for West Virginia. I know Eric Stevenson's a really good player. Emmett Matthews is as well. But Alabama is too deep and too good, and I think they'll get to the Sweet 16. San Diego State, Virginia. This will be a defensive matchup. San Diego State gives up 63 points a game. Virginia gives up 60. But at the end of the day, Virginia's offense is not consistent enough, and I think they'll bow out to San Diego State, and San Diego State will make the Sweet 16. I know I don't love Mountain West teams, but as a Virginia fan, I've watched this team too much to believe in them to make this run. Kie Clark's career will come to an end, and it'll be emotional. But San Diego State, I just think, is the better team, and Virginia's offense is not reliable enough that can get them to the Sweet 16. And if they do, they will not make it any further. So give me Bama to play San Diego State in the Sweet 16. This one's a really tough one. You got Baylor Shireman going against Baylor. I've never heard anyone say that. So we got Baylor versus Baylor. But I think Baylor's defense is really bad. They give up 70 points a game. And, Creighton's not that far behind them. They're both amazing offensive teams. Ryan Kalkbrenner is going to be a hard match for Baylor. And that's the reason I'm leaning Creighton. But Baylor has a trio of guards. And Keontae George can make a case to be a top 5, top 7 type pick in this NBA draft. And this is that's one of the hardest picks for me because I could see Creighton getting there. I really can. But something about this Baylor team is just keeps getting me interested. And I've faded them throughout these couple weeks because their defense is really, really bad. But I think this team just has so much experience that Creighton, I know a lot of people believe in them, but I'm taking Baylor to get to the Sweet 16 again because of their experience. Their guard trio, I think, is going to give problems. Because Baylor Shireman's not a good defender. And he's going to have to play a Keontae George. And I know Kalkbrenner will be problems for the Baylor team, but I think they can outscore Creighton. And at the end of the day, if you outscore a team, you're going to win. Mizzou versus Arizona. I think Mizzou can give them a run, but the bigs for Arizona will be too much with Trebellis and Balo. And they have the experienced guards, Courtney Ramey, Kirk Risa. And Missouri is a good team, but to win that game, they're going to have to make a lot of threes. And I think Arizona's defense is too good to where I know they allow 71 points a game, but I think Arizona will lock up there and take down and play Baylor in a highly anticipated Sweet 16 matchup. Moving on to this region, Houston in the Midwest, Houston will have to play Auburn in Alabama. So that one will be interesting, but give me the Cougars to get past Auburn. Auburn's offense just won't be good enough, and I think Marcus Sasser will be able to play, be healthy, and get the job done against Auburn in a tough environment. But Houston, if you're legit, which I believe you are, you'll get past that game. Kent State, Miami is one where I could see Kent State making a Sweet 16 run. Man, that team is that good, but they haven't proven to be amazing teams all year. I think that, the Indiana pick might have been a little aggressive, but I'm not a believer in Indiana this year. They've shown to be too inconsistent, and Kent State, I think, will give Miami a run, but Miami made the Elite Eight this year, and they've got better. If Norcha Amir is healthy, I believe that this team can make a Final Four. Pitt Xavier's a really good one. Two coaches, Jeff Capel and Sean Miller, two amazing coaches there. And Pitt, coming off back-to-back wins, might be feeling hot. And with the Freeman injury, will hurt Xavier, but Sule Boom's such a good player that I expect Xavier to move on and get to the Sweet 16. And then I'm going to have Texas beating Penn State. I love what Rodney Terry's done there at Texas. He's just shown to be such a great coach. I think Penn State's run will come to an end. This team plays with a lot of spirit, and Pickett will be a tough matchup, but I love the Serge-Barry Rice and Marcus Carr, Tyrese Hunter. This team's proven in big moments to be great teams, and they have a lot of depth and they've shown without Timmy Allen they can win. Penn State, I like Lundy, I like Funk, but I don't think this team is good enough to get past Texas. I actually do like Texas A&M matching up against Texas more, but I think Penn State wins that first game, and I see Texas going there. So both these regions I have 1-5, which looks pretty chalky, but I expect more things to change in these lower regions. In this one, this is one of the toughest matchups for me, but give me Memphis to take down Purdue. Last year, I called UNC beating Baylor in the second round, and this year, I'm going to have the 8 seed being the 1 in the second round again in Memphis. I think they match up really well with Purdue, Memphis likes to speed teams up, and with the freshman guards, I think they can make mistakes in there. And Kendrick Davis is such a good player that can take over a game. DeAndre Williams is an amazing defender, and I think they can double Edey, and they're going to let a person like Ethan Morton or Mason Gillis beat them. And if they do, Purdue might win this game. But I believe in Kendrick Davis and DeAndre Williams to get the job done. This Memphis team is so much more experienced than Purdue, and I get Memphis into the Sweet 16. Duke plays another double-digit season. This is where Louisiana's run ends. Duke playing so good right now, and I think Duke would match up well with Purdue, and they'll also match up well with Memphis, and this will be a great, great game if that happens. Providence, Kansas State, I like Keontae Johnson too much. I really do. I think Keontae Johnson is one of the best players in the whole country, and I have Kansas State moving on and getting to the Sweet 16 under the first year of Jerome Tang. Marquette versus Michigan State is a game that is just so interesting. Tyson Walker, Tyler Kulik, great guys. Tom Izzo, Shaka Smart, two great coaches. So this one is really tough for me to predict because both these teams, man, have a lot of firepower and can do it on both ends of the court. But Marquette's proven to me that they're a legit team. And I have them winning this game just because Marquette, man, I love the way that they've shown that offensively, Shaka Smart's changed his philosophy and they can score a lot of points, get out of transition. When you have a guy like Tyler Kulik who can play, make, can score, can do really everything, I like Marquette to get and play a great Kansas State team. That's going to be an amazing game. Kansas, Arkansas is a really tough one for me. Both these teams are good, but Kansas overall is just more consistent. I like Arkansas, but they haven't played too much together. I wish I got to see their full potential. I think UConn over VCU is my pick here. UConn has just been great throughout the year. They were really good at the beginning. They went through a little tough patch, but they're back to being really good. They lost a tough game to Marquette in the Big East tournament, and maybe if they win that game, they're a 3 seed. They end up landing on the 4 line, but give me them to beat VCU. The defense, VCU is a good defensive team, but I don't think they can keep up with UConn on the offensive end. I like Gonzaga to take down TCU just because of the experience. TCU won't have Eddie Lampkin, which hurts them, and they won't have a guy that can match up with Drew Timme. And then I really wish UCLA got another 7 seed, like a Michigan State. If any of these 7 seeds went against UCLA, I think I would go with. Do I have any 10 seeds winning? I have only one. I feel like Boise State. I might change this pick to Boise State. Should I change it to Boise State? I'm going to have to think about that. I might change that pick to Boise State, but I'm going to have UCLA winning that game regardless. I just think that they're just a very consistently good team. And I know they're injured, but, man, I think they can get past Northwestern. Not easily, but I think that it won't be a nail-biter. So moving on to the Sweet 16, Alabama, San Diego State. Give me Alabama. That team's just playing too good right now, and they'll get to the Elite Eight. Once again, I am confident in that. Baylor, Arizona. I just think Baylor's defense will catch up to them and not be able to control the bigs of Arizona. I know it's a 1-2 matchup, which is very, not very chalky, but I understand Arizona's bigs will be too much for Baylor, and I love that matchup for them. They've proven that they can win big games at big moments, and Turbellis will be too much for Baylor. We'll go over to this region where Houston plays Miami. And I think Houston will get it done. I think that 1 seed will move on to beat Miami. I like Houston a lot. Man, I just think that with Marcus Sasser, I assume he'll be there. Tremont Mark, Jamal Shedd, and Jarris Walker, Juwan Roberts. This team is just so deep, old, experienced, and they have a great freshman. And Houston wants to get back to Houston, and then the Final Four for the second time. They'll be in the Elite Eight for 3 straight years. Kelvin Sampson's doing an amazing job, and this team is ready to get to the national championship. Ronnie Terry and Texas will get there, and we'll have an amazing matchup. 2 Texas teams playing against each other. I just think the Freeman injury will hurt Xavier in this one. And I think Xavier just got easy pool to get to the Sweet 16. Memphis, Duke, I'm taking Duke. Derek Lively will match up well on the defensive end, and Flipkowski versus DeAndre Williams will be tough. I think DeAndre Williams will have the experience. We'll get into Flipkowski, but Jeremy Roach, Kendrick Davis will be well. I think overall Duke has a deeper roster and will take Memphis in a very tough matchup, but give me Duke. And Kansas State Marquette, Jerome Tang in his first year will get Kansas State to an Elite Eight. Marquise Noel will be a very tough matchup for all of Marquette, and Keontae Johnson, proven that he's an NBA player, will get the job done. I like Marquette a lot. I really do. But I think Shaka Smart can't take this team to the Elite Eight. They give me Kansas State to face off against Duke. I'm coming back to this 1-4 matchup because this might be the toughest game for me to predict. But give me Gonzaga to move on against UCLA. The injury of Jalen Clark will really hurt. Dembo, we still don't know if he's at full strength. And Gonzaga, with Drew Timme, the guards have played way better recently with Nola Hickman, Malachi Smith, Rasir Bolton. And I just like Gonzaga where they're playing. Julian Strother's been amazing. Antoine Watson, this team's deep and is flying under the radar. Kansas versus UConn is maybe the hardest matchup for me to predict. Most people are really liking UConn this year, which I completely understand, man. They have great computer numbers and they've shown their full potential by becoming like the second-ranked team in the country. Yeah, but if Kansas has gone through all this adversity, Bob Hurley hasn't proven to me, Dan Hurley has not proven to me that they can get to that next level, and give me Kansas to get past Gonzaga and get to the Elite Eight. So I have 3 number 1 seeds in the Elite Eight, 2 number 3 seeds, and 1 5 seed. So let's move on. I'm having Alabama advance to the Final Four just because of their 3-point shooting. I think Turbellis can give them problems down low, but I think they do have the bigs. They got Noah Gurley, Clowney. Gurley, Clowney. They got this guys that can match up with them. Bediako's been really good. And of course, they got Brandon Miller, and their guards are better than Arizona's. And I think Alabama will get trouble from Arizona. I do truly believe, but I like Bama. This will be their toughest matchup yet, but give me Alabama to move on. Here in this region, this is a really tough one for me, but Houston is going to get back to Houston and get past Texas. Ronnie Terry, you do an amazing job. I'm not sure if you'll stay the head coach, but this one's a really tough one. But Houston's experience with Kelvin Sampson will lead them to get back to the Final Four in their home city. Give me Duke over Kansas State. Again, 2 first-year head coaches. One will go to the Final Four, but give me Duke. There was been real hot recently. I think this momentum will carry them to the Final Four for the 2nd straight year, and will take on Alabama. And Kansas, Gonzaga, I think Kansas will got too hard of a push from UConn, and Gonzaga will take down the defending champs and move on to the Final Four. I understand that this team's flown on the radar, and it's Gonzaga. They don't play a lot of competition, but their offense has been so good. They score 128 points per 100 possessions, which is insane. And maybe it's because of their easier competition, but they did good out of conference, and they weren't as good as other years, which maybe is why people are down with them. But I like Gonzaga to move on to the Final Four, and we got 2 amazing matchups in there. And I'm going to have Alabama taking down Duke. And then will Houston get there? I say not. Give me Gonzaga to take down Houston and get to the national championship for the 2nd year in Drew Timme's career. And will they pull it off? No. Alabama's my team, and I was scared of them to pick them going in this tournament because they cannot make the 3 and lose. But I saw in the SEC championship when they struggled to hit the 3, they can still beat good teams. They beat Missouri. They beat Texas A&M in the first half without making 3s. This team is young, but Brandon Miller is a Carmelo Anthony type player that I think he's that good, that proved that a freshman can lead a team to a national championship. They've gone through so much controversy. I think this has brought this team together. They've gone through the adversity, and I think they can win the national championship. I know Gonzaga is a really good team, and they have more experience. But at the end of the day, I love Alabama to get the job done. I think it will be a higher scoring game. I'm talking 77 Gonzaga. I think it'll be 73. 77 Alabama, 73 Gonzaga. So there it is. My tournament picks. Give me Alabama to win the national championship over Houston. Hope you enjoy my bracket. Leave your predictions. Leave your winner in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. And get ready to watch some exciting games. I'm going to be posting videos throughout the tournament, so get ready for that. Peace.